Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Thursday, July 9th, and this is your end of day recap. So, quickly, theme of the day momentum continues, and the momentum names. All the growth names are continuing to see a lot of momentum to them, and I guess you can actually call some of these names just basically momentum names, right? Momentum software, semiconductors, just basically the stay at home type trade. So the trend continues, and if you're a trend trader right now, you're loving this type of market. And then on the flip side, the laggards continue to lag. So something that I haven't really been doing too much is kind of shorting the laggards, because I think that's a dangerous trade because of the news cycle. We've talked about how probably anything positive, in terms of something positive in terms of the COVID stuff of the coronavirus will cause these names to move back up. So I think kind of view that as a dangerous trade, but it is what it is. The laggards are continuing to lag and underperform. So I just thought I would mention this. These are the books that I think can really help if you're looking to kind of take on that philosophy of trend trading. Uh, you know, just quickly, what we're seeing right now is these trends, and one of the things that really kind of hits home with me, and why I've become more a trend trader than anything else over the years, is because trends, even though you hear people talk about valuations, and you hear people talk about the expensiveness of some of these names, but they've been going up now for a while. So the trends are intact, and if as long as you're comfortable with not being able to get out at the tippy top, the trend, nobody knows how long trends will last, and that's basically what we've got going on here. And I think it's important to be smart and be responsible in your trading, so that you're taking some off the table as we go, and as things continue to kind of accelerate to the upside. But these are a couple books that have helped me a lot, and that's why I bring them up in this video. Trend following. I mean, these are pretty easy books to read too. The complete Turtle Traders is a great story, and kind of gives you a little bit of a cute little story about how trend traders came about with the Turtle Traders, what they are, and how basically taking people off the street, as long as they pass the test, to basically follow rules, they were able to outperform the market just by following rules and being unemotional. So it's really, I think, important, in terms of how this market is going right now, because if you look at the performance of the day, small caps continue to be the weak area of the market. They were down again. SPY was down for the day, but again, it's different groups, because if you look over at the Qs, and again, how long is this Qs, outperformance going to last? I have no idea. Do I think it's stretched? Absolutely, do I think it's stretched. But you could have said the same thing 2 weeks ago. It was funny. I was thinking about this I was on a financial broadcast about, let's see, it was over 6 months ago, and people were talking about Tesla, and the whole panel that I was on, and this was on TV, this is financial media, I'm on TV, I could say who it is, I guess, but I was on a financial broadcast, heavily watched financial broadcast, and everybody was going around the desk saying, hey, do you like Tesla, and so forth, and it was like, yeah, the trend is up in Tesla, just kind of keep it simple. And you could see what this has done, and so people 6 months ago didn't like it, people today don't like it. Those same traders on this show were saying the same thing. I think I was one of the only ones that says, hey, the trend is high, is north, is up and to the right. So and that's the whole thing, is like, if you try to rationalize some of this stuff, a lot of it you know can basically not make sense. But as traders, we want to capitalize on when things, right, are going basically up and to the right. And you hear the talk about bubble and that kind of thing. You want bubbles, right? When bubbles happen, there's outsized profits to be made. Now, eventually they end poorly, but if you have 6 months or a year of something just ramping up and to the right, don't you want to be involved in that? Again, you have to be disciplined just to know when you're going to get out, and that's why we talk about being disciplined and being smart and being responsible. But I'll tell you, this is one of the most fun markets I've ever seen to trade. Going back for years. But so today, just to talk about a little bit of the performance and some of the outperformers, I should say, and some of the option activity. And it just I mean, the option activity has just been insane. I wrote up here yesterday that it was basically every growth name saw call activity, and it's along the same lines. I mean, Amazon continues to see this big, heavy short-term call buying. And it is what it is. Amazon and a few of the FANG stocks, a few of the other names, they love to rally hard into their earnings print. It just happens again and again and again. AMD was the trade of the day. This is, I actually bought AMD pre-market. I just thought it looked pretty interesting, and I could see sometimes you can get a little bit of a hint if you start looking at what things are doing pre-market, and then if you kind of put them together with the longer term charts. But it looked like something interesting was going on in AMD, and I bought this thing pre-market. And what time did I do that at this morning? Yeah, 8:59 this morning. I bought AMD at 53.83. So the beauty of this is if you're observant, you do your homework. Let's face it, if you're a member of Tribeca Trade Group, that's what we do, right? And there's also, I mean, we have such tremendous traders. I'm so happy that the way, I would call it like our trading desk, but it is what it is. It's a trading room, and what people are calling out in the room every day are just spectacular setups too. We'll talk about the Lulu trade too, which was a member mentioning this too as well. So the strength of our room is, I'm really just pleased at how things have been going. We've really put together a group of really strong traders who basically, everybody's working towards the collective good, calling out trades, being honest with their entries and their exits, and catching a lot more setups than just what I provide on a daily basis. So that's the advantage of when you have a really strong group. That's where everybody's helping one another, and that's why I think it's the best trading community out there, from what we've put together. And if you're into that type of thing where everybody's helping one another and trying to make everybody money in the process, then you can go to my Twitter page and you could sign up and give it a try. Again, I keep the price very cheap for people to come in and try it, because I know it's, everybody has added expenses and so forth, and I've talked about raising the prices a couple times, and maybe I'll do that eventually, but I like to kind of keep it so that newer traders can try it. Somebody asked me the other day, they're like, is your service just for what kind of traders are in the room? We have all types of levels of traders in the room. And the whole thing is one of the reasons why I started this is because I love help. It's fun to help people and to get traders up to speed on what they should be looking at. So, that's why we've developed things like we do the Q&A session a couple days a week, where I usually rant for 10 minutes, but I answer any questions that traders have, no matter how basic they are. So, as long as people have the right mindset, they stay, I have them stay in the room, because, I do kick out traders who don't have that, anybody who has a big ego and is trying to flash things and so forth. Either they don't make it, because I kick them out, and or I pull them aside and say that's not what our room is about, right? Is not showing off and so forth. We're all there to help one another. So I'm very pleased at how it's been going. But to get back to the market and how things materialized for the day, the semiconductors. Yeah. So there was a report I didn't even know, and this is sometimes too, like if you're just watching and following the price activity, you're doing your homework by setting alerts in the morning. Not match. Sorry, this is what name was this? What is the name? I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on this one semiconductor name, which is always a good one to be mindful of. MCHP. MCHP is the name. But they had a story out that's saying, like, they jumped on order comments, and this is something that I think was one of the catalysts for the group today. But if you're just watching the price action and the tape, watching the order flow of the tape, you'll find these things without the actual story, right? Sometimes when the story's out there, the move's already over. But this is basically what happened in AMD for the day. And the other thing that's funny about this is, and I don't mind sharing this, but I was really negative on AMD just literally 2 or 3 days ago. I was saying, oh, this thing hasn't done anything. The rest of the semiconductors, you know, NVDA has been breaking out to the upside. There's been a number of names that have been hitting 52-week highs in the semiconductor space. This one, too, we talked about yesterday, which was, sorry, I'm getting my symbols confused today. But Maxim, there was a call buyer right before the close yesterday. Really nice looking chart. So this thing's up 3.8%. But to finish my thought here, AMD, I was saying that this thing has been horrible, the performance, and it hasn't looked good. Well, all it can take sometimes is just one day, right? So we got into this pre-market, and it was nonstop with the calls today, with the momentum calls. And sometimes we see a little bit of momentum calls, but this is something that's just carried through all day today. You could see, starting out in the morning. I mean, look at all these orders. Again, it's all short-term stuff. It's all weeklies and next week's calls, and all basically, for the most part, some August in here. But for the majority of the calls, it's weeklies. It's the July monthlies. I see 724 in there as well. But look at all these little orders. By the way, this is Cheddar Flow. They do a great job at finding little orders like this. But you could see all day long into the weakness today as well. So just very, very impressive. And look at the volume on the breakout. So we talked about this in the member Q&A, and I was saying, like, when the stock was here, I said, hey, if you missed the first 3 or 4% performance, forget about it. You want to see a name make a move, in my opinion, first, versus staying in it through all this. Like, this is really hard to stay in a name and to have patience when it does this. I like to see it get going first, personally. Right? I like to be there, maybe because I'm losing some patience as I get older. But this is, we want to see volume like this, and you want to see, like, I don't mind missing, even though I got in here pre-market, but I don't mind chasing a little bit, a green candle when it hasn't done anything. Costco's a good example of that too, which we traded. I had calls going into their monthly sales report, and you could have chased Costco today too, which was up nice. And this thing looks like it's finally breaking out. Again, keep in mind with things like AMD and Costco, how long these things have been in a range, right? So the longer these things are in a range, sometimes the more powerful the move is. So, if it's something like this, right, where it's gone up 3 or 4 days, like, here's not the place to chase. Now, I actually like the consolidation that's going on in Tesla, but after 3 or 4 days, but on the first day, no problem, chasing the first day, because a lot of times it's a multi-day move. So I'm long. I did take a target in this thing, but I'm still long this one. Where's my target? Yeah, 55. And where this thing closed, 57. Yeah, so I'm in riding mode. And again, after I take a couple targets in a name, I love to ride the last piece. What else? Finally, well, not finally, I shouldn't say that, but there's so many names breaking out. Net, we were talking about in our member Q&A about riding winners, and I get a lot of questions on names that break out to a 52-week highs about where to exit. And I showed an example of CrowdStrike today. You want names to break out, right? Strong names will just break out, and then they'll consolidate for a little bit and they'll break out. I was showing this. Remember when I showed this example earlier about when CrowdStrike first broke out around 66 bucks, right? And if you said, "Hey, I'm going to take a target at 70," you were feeling great that day, or 73 or 74. But look at it now, right? So you got to you have to learn, in my opinion, right? This video is for information purposes only. I'm not giving out any advice or recommendations, but some of these names you just have to stay in, and that's all about trend trading. The longer that you can stay in some of these trades, you know, going a name that just 3 months ago was at 60 bucks is now up to 117. That's the whole name of the game, is to try to stay in these things, right? So it's great to kind of point out the swings and when names come into consolidation, and looking for that next leg higher. But that's why I manage two portfolios, right? I have one where I'm just riding the trend. And where did I buy this thing? Where's CRWD? I bought this thing at $73. Right? I added that into. Now I played this obviously before in my trading account, but I bought this in the tactical portfolio at 73 bucks, which is probably somewhere in here. And you probably, oh geez, you're buying it here, right? Probably, oh, that's way too high. What are you, crazy, buying at 73? Well, now it's up to 117 bucks. So what am I up in this one? 60%. 60%. And like a couple months. So it's amazing. So where I haven't talked about any of the negatives so far, but I've been showing a lot on Twitter what's been going on in bonds. Bonds have been making a really nice move. So I did go long some TLT the other day, and the beauty of being an individual trader, where you're not an investment fund that has a mandate that they have to be in one group or another, to have a little bit of a long position in bonds here. If these want to break out, number one, it could be telling us something about the overall market. But the fact that bonds are going up and gold is going up, it gives you some diversification, in some of these areas of the market that when equities go down, sometimes bonds go up. So it's nice to find things like this for momentum wise. What else? This Lulu trade was really nice. Again, like I said, a member brought this to my attention, that it was added to some service, mentioned it, and we bought this thing, and look at this thing go. So I got out. I think my last exit was 1050, in a matter of like about 20 minutes. So love when that happens. And then I rolled it out, and it didn't really work, and I took it off. Speaking of CrowdStrike, I did trade that one today. On this pullback around 10:30, so that we saw a little bit of a call buyer. And again, like the call buying, I know I like in yesterday's video I was talking negative about call buying, but I'll tell you, it does give you some good alerts to something, as long as, like, again, I make fun of some of the stuff that when you see a name up 5% and they're buying, that's when they decide to buy calls. But this was a nice little entry, right? We saw a call buyer that came across right around here, and I said, oh wow, look at this little consolidation, and this was a nice day trade. So again, like, mixing it up with some swing trades and some day trades has really helped me, because it's nice to be able to make some money on something that you're not increasing your overall risk by holding some of these positions. And by the way, I got stopped out of a trade. That's perfectly fine. Not every trade is going to work. Let's see where this, oh geez, look at this thing. It did actually finish above my stop, but that's fine. I've talked about this before with taking some stops in a name that you're monitoring and it's not working well. Gets your focus off of an underperformer for the day, and then you're able to find the next one. So it's just, again, something that I've learned over time, is that if a name is just not working, no problem, just take it off and you'll find the next one. So, again, this one might end up working, but there's so many other names right now that are moving that it's better just to not, in my opinion, not to get hung up on something that's not working and get frustrated over it. Just get it off your books and go on to the next one. But again, it's good to cover not only the winners but the losers. Interesting again, this group of stocks just continues to go lower. I've been talking about how these names are probably due for a bounce, but I mean, look at these things break down. And IWM still in value, but I was making a joke for the small caps, killing me smalls. The small caps at one point were down like 3.2% for the day. So I love making money when a good portion of the market or parts of the market are down for the day. But yeah, it's pretty crazy what these types of groups are doing, and same thing with the energy. Just want no part of this group that looks like it's going back lower again and breaking down. So again, if you want to short some things, this XOP stalled right at the 200-day moving average. What else? I feel like I'm a couple other, just to kind of give you a couple setups. Cyber, which has kind of been an out of favor name, is actually showing some strength. This was a name that before like CrowdStrike came along, like this was the darling of the cyberspace. If you zoom out, like bit went all the way up to 148. It's now back above the 200-day moving average. I'm giving it a shot, so I bought some of this today. Also, Palladium looked really interesting in the morning, but it did not close on the highs. I did start a trade. I didn't take it off, but I hate when that happens. You have a full green bar in the morning. Again, the most important print is the closing print, because that shows you, if a name has full-on strength or if it's a fake out. So maybe another fake out in this Palladium, but I would love if this Palladium gets going. So I think it still has a chance. It did not close above value, so no trigger yet, but I think definitely interesting. So I kept it on for now. What else in terms of trades and option activity? Glue and Zynga saw calls today. ZS, another one that looks good. So again, it's like for some of these names, take your pick. ZS I almost jumped into this one today. I decided to do CrowdStrike. So again, and I had already gone into cyber too, so I didn't want to add kind of three of the same thing, but very, very strong. Like I said, Amazon Shop is also seeing a call spread go up further out in time and puts being sold. But when these things correct, I don't know. The trend is still up, so it is what it is. All right, that's enough for today's video. That was long. It's long enough. It's over 20 minutes. But again, every day finding some really nice setups, and we'll see how the weekend's with tomorrow. All right, guys, have a great night. See you tomorrow.